Hello friends, Mark Johnson here. Welcome back to another episode of the TRIRIGA War Room where experts advise. Good morning friends. Today I would like to talk to you a little bit about the limitation in TRIRIGA log file sizes. So this is something that I just recently ran across. Now that I have some customers that are starting to use the 4.x platform, I'm starting to get more hands-on with it, getting to encounter and experience some of the issues or challenges that pop up from the change in the platform. And one of those changes that I just ran into here a couple weeks back is with this log file size limitation. So I was doing some testing of the journal entry process in order to analyze it and look for potential for performance optimization. And as part of that, I enabled a bunch of logging while I went through the journal entry process. And I kept noticing that all my log file sizes were limited to 10 megabytes. And that didn't make sense that all my log files were exactly the same size in bytes, even as I would, roll the log. So after further investigation, I found out that there was a change starting with the 4.1 platform that will limit the size of the log. So this is a TRIRIGA 11.5, 4.5 environment. And so I'm going to go ahead and get logged in because I want to get the admin console opened up because I'm going to turn on some logging and I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about, what I found, and then also how I resolved it. All right, so now that I'm logged into the system, let me go ahead and just open up another tab so that I can open up the admin console. And so our path to the admin console, if you don't remember, is HTML and default admin. And since we're logged in, our credentials carry across and we're logged into the admin console. So it's going to take you just a minute to spin up here to the system summary. Click down here on the air logs just to show you guys, right? So we have, the different log files. This is all the same. Now, this file limitation, I did go through the release notes for every version, and I didn't find anything mentioning this limitation. So I'm not positive that this is necessarily a TRIRIGA limitation, or maybe it's just a log4j default setting now, and something that needs to be handled. But it will limit you to 10 megabytes. All right. So I'm going to go here into the log file folder to show you. So underneath the TRIRIGA folder, there's a log folder, and this is where the system logs are kept. And we're going to mainly be paying attention to the server.log file. So let me go ahead and I will open up the server.log file with one of my favorite programs here, which is Log Expert. So is this today's log? 328, yep, this is today's log. So let me just close this other window because I was doing some activities in this environment before I started to do this recording. All right, so you can see even on startup, I've gotten some errors, probably due to with the pausing or resuming of my virtual machine. Doesn't really matter. You can see even with just a little bit of data that's in that log file, it's 32 kilobytes in size, right? So we're far ways away from the limit. So I'm going to come back to my admin console and I'm going to come down here under the platform logging. And we're going to turn on a bunch of different logging because what we want to do is we want to generate a bunch of information into the log, make that log file size grow so that it will hit that limit, and we'll see that the system how the system rolls it over. So if I scroll down, I'm going to select some logging. I'll turn on all the workflow logging. User interface, sure, why not? Let's turn on some SQL logging. SQL logging will generate a lot of data for us. And then, of course, one of the logs settings that I almost always do, at least in a development environment, is this error logging control. I disable the duplicate message suppression because TRIRIGA automatically will disable messages from repeating over and over, so it doesn't fill up the log file. The problem with that is then it masks the error, right? So you may not see that it's there if you happen to look at the log after it's been masked, or if you're trying to fix the error, right? You don't know if you've actually fixed it or if it's just being suppressed. So by having that disabled, you'll at least get the error message, every time that it occurs in the log. So I hit it. You can see now we're tailing the log, and it's not going to grow very fast, even with the SQL logging, because this is an empty VM. There's no activity. Nobody's logged into this other than me. So let's go and we'll generate some activity. And the way I'm going to do this, I'm just going to click on some of these different landing pages from the menu. These landing pages will have they'll have many queries here that'll have to get executed and ran, and that will help contribute to our log file size growth. You can see it's growing much faster now, which is good. And so I'm gonna also pop over here, and we'll see. All right, so you can already see all right, so we hit 10 megabytes in size. This log file rolled over, so we've got a current server.log. So what's going to happen is this file size limit doesn't just limit the log files to, okay, they're only 10 meg, and then I'm going to roll and create a new one. It's going to limit the total amount of log file size. So we've got a server.log, and then we've got the one with the date prefix in it, right? So this gives us 20 megabytes worth of log size. But then at the end of the day, the server.log would get renamed to this, and then it would replace it. So that would leave just 10 megabytes for the day. Well, 10 megabytes wasn't sufficient, for the logging of the workflow start, stop, and steps for the JE processes. Blew past that. Actually, that process creates huge logs. 20 it was over 20 gigs in size just for the retrieve action. So having 10 megs out of 20 gigs doesn't help me analyze what I needed to analyze. So I kept seeing this limit, couldn't figure out why. So I went and I fired up my VM here, and I came and I looked, and I looked into the log4j configuration file. So on the config folder, your TRIRIGA folder, there's the log4j2. You notice it's log4j2.xml. So with 4.0 and earlier, it just says log4j.xml. Now from 4.1 passes log4j2.xml. So if I open this up in Notepad++, you can see here, right, there's a size limitation on all these different log files. So the one we're interested in right now is going to be the server.log file. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and come back here, and I'm going to generate a little more activity. Again, some landing pages. Let's look at our file size on our log. So I'm going to come back into my log folder. All right, so we're at 2.5 megs. Let's come back up to the request. That seems to generate a lot of activity. I will go ahead and refresh this. Let's just keep an eye on things. Click on tasks. Again, the whole purpose of this is because I know these landing pages, they have portal sections that have queries and stuff in them. They're going to query the database. That's going to cause more information, and especially in the SQL capturing for the logging that I have enabled, which is why I'm doing this. All right, so we're up to 5 megs. So let's get this guy. We'll just bounce through these a few times. That way we can exceed the 10 limit, the 10 megabyte limit again, just to show you all that there's just a single file. 6 megs. And so this is exactly how I discovered what the issue was. I just came in, I turned on the logging, and I started doing this just to try to generate as much information into the log as possible so I could see what was going on. All right, so you can see we exceeded the 10 megs again, but I only have the one file, right? So everything that happened before that file is lost to me, right? So that could be a problem, especially considering, you know, if you're trying to investigate something. So how can we overcome this? So there's a few different ways, things that can be done. So my understanding is there is actually a setting that can be added, which will determine the number of files that it can keep. So as it rolls over, how many of those rollovers the system will keep, which would be a setting that you would have to then look up and then add in to the log4j. So for my needs, I was expecting really large log files. I wasn't sure what the size was because I know that that journal entry process takes a long time. It runs a lot of workflows, and so having my workflow start, stops, and steps was going to generate a ton of data, and it did. It generated a log file that was 20 gigs in size, and so that's also a problem to work with and deal with log files that are that size. So if you're going to have a size limit, you may want to put it to something to where maybe it's a gig or something that you want to keep it to where you have more options as far as what software you can use to open that file, right? Notepad++ can open up a couple gig file, but it's going to take it a bit. The tool that I actually ultimately ended up using to open up the 21 plus gigabyte file was this log expert file. This log expert can handle the large files, and so what I ended up doing was I used it and then I filtered the results down to just the end statements because those have timings in them, and I filtered those to another tab, and it saves out the tab in the temporary files, and I went and just copied the file, and then I had a text file of just the settings that I needed. But in order to get to that point, what I did is I came in here and I tested, okay, I need to comment out the line that sets my file size limit. So in this case, I'm going to just comment out the limit for the server.log. I'm not going to worry about the other log files, but you would need to adjust the size on each log file as appropriate. So maybe you're commenting it out on all of them just so that you can have the behavior the same as it was before, or maybe you've identified a size that's good for your log files and you can set it to that. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now, the log4j XML file, this is loaded up on startup of TRIRIGA. So making this change is not going to be instantaneously in effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart TRIRIGA. So I'll run the services, and we'll scroll down and find the TRIRIGA instance, and we'll just tell it to restart the service. All right, so it'll be under IBM TRIRIGA. Here we go, and let's tell it to restart the service. And so since I'm telling the server.log, I should be able to see it shut down, the system here shut down, and then see it start back up. So we can see agents are getting stopped. So I know we're getting ready to restart. Shutdown handler's going. So now I've enabled some color coding, some highlighting, in Log Expert here, just to help me, view and see things faster and easier, right? So the debug stuff is in blue, right? Info is green. Warnings are yellow, and then errors will have a red. So that way, if I'm monitoring the tail and I'm watching it in real time, right, the colors will help catch my eye and help me focus in on just those things that I'm interested in. You know what? I'm going to come and delete the old server.log file just so we don't have that 10 megabit there. So I'm going to repeat the same process now and then show you, hey, we can exceed the 10 megabit limit. All right, so getting closer, almost done. Which means I'm going to need to log out of here and then close for my admin console. I just pop back to localhost. That should probably just spin and keep it going until the server is all the way up, which we're getting closer. It's almost there. So this VM isn't the fastest, so I apologize. It's taken a little bit of time. There we go. When we got our agent started, all right, this is what we're looking for, right? TRIRIGA started, 1 minute, 32 seconds. Okay. So now if I pop back here, yep, got my login screen. So we're going to get logged back in. We'll go back to the admin console as well. And then from the admin console, we're going to go back down into the platform logging once again. And we're going to just enable the same kind of logging and do what we can to fill up the log to get it past 10 megabits or 10 megabytes rather, in order to show you that yep, that setting or commenting out that setting has resolved our issue for us. All right. So let's put in the rest of the URL for the admin console. Come down here to platform logging, and again the error logging disable. And we'll turn on some query logging, some SQL logging, and we'll do some workflow logging. Scroll down, I'll click apply. Those are in effect now. So I can see I'm starting to get some of the different SQL logging going on. Let's come back here, go into our regular TRIRIGA, and let's start with the request page. Yeah, see, look at that, 3,300 lines already. There we go. And there we go. That did it. Just that one page with all this logging enabled, right? Over 12 megabytes. So, this is why, to me, the 10 megabyte limit seems way low. It seems very likely to cause an issue and a problem. So, my recommendation is either, comment it out, and you can return the behavior to how TRIRIGA has been in the past. Just remember though, right, you do need to maintain good practices, right, for that log folder, right? So follow your retention policies, right? Archive off old server logs if you can, to make sure that you're keeping enough free space available. So anyways, I hope you guys find this helpful. And if you ran into this issue and you didn't know how to solve it, now you do. So thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys again next time. Thank you. All right, friends, that wraps up another episode of the TRIRIGA War Room. Thank you for watching this episode. If you like these videos and you find them helpful, please do like and subscribe to the channel. Your subscriptions are the only way that I have to know if you find these videos helpful and if I should continue to make them or not. I do these videos on my own time. I'm not currently compensated in any way for them. So if they're not helpful, I'd much rather go and work on some of my other side projects. So here at the TRIRIGA War Room, we really do want to be your expert advisors and to help you to better implement and use TRIRIGA. So if you have any ideas for future videos, or even if you would like to guest instruct a future video, please do let me know. Again, thanks for watching. We look forward to seeing you next time.